I like the mandolin. It's right where I need to put it back. So I'm gonna switch the screen over so you can see the paint window. But while I'm doing this, I'm gonna mention that if you didn't catch the previous stream, which was the stock market update, you should go vote on that. At least at some point. You don't have to vote on it now. It will be up forever, but specifically before next Thursday, if you vote on that, it will help out in the fluctuation of the stock market. So I put a little link to it up in the corner, along with a link to the previous addition to this, which was MrPositive's addition to the drawing that we have here. So on the screen now, I have MrPositive's updated version. I can have it out so you can see the whole thing. I'm actually going to switch my mouse out now that we're on this screen. I think I've explained this in the past, but my drawing tablet only works on my laptop screen. So if I have the double screen up and I'm using that for my recording software, then it gets a little complicated. I should probably just buy a splitter for USB. I'm not a gamer or anything, so that wouldn't cause any problems. But, you know, I like to live on the edge, I guess. So we're going to try and keep this relatively short. I know the first one went on a little bit long, and then I had some mic issues and ended up having to speed it up in the long run. But I want to keep it as live as possible because that's just kind of how I do things here on the channel. So we're going to zoom in here to about 50% just to kind of analyze the picture. So right now we can see he's added in some grass, he's added in a tree over here, and a little shack with some flowers in front of it. And so when I looked at the flowers and kind of the scenery around me, it kind of gave me a spring feeling, which got me thinking. By the way, he did mention that he does want to see some a detail added to his picture that he's added on here to kind of bring it up to par with the scenery in the front here with this grass and whatnot. So I'm thinking that we might. I don't know if we're going to add anything specifically in terms of a large addition to the picture because we're kind of running out of blank space on the picture. There's the large white space in the background. I'm not sure what we're going to do with that, but I think we're going to leave that today. Today we're going to focus on adding a little bit of detail to what has been done already. So what I'm thinking was that if it's springtime, when I looked at this tree, I started thinking of an apple tree. And when I was thinking of an apple tree, I started thinking apple pie. So we'll get to the pie in a second, but we're going to start by adding in some fruit on this tree over here. So we're going to get a nice red color, maybe not the baseline red, maybe a little bit darker, perhaps a little more orangey than our base red. So I think that's what we're going to go with, and we're going to add that in. I don't know, post in the chat what your favorite type of apple is. My personal favorite is Fuji, but I guess if I were going for a apple pie, you might want something that would sort of complement the tartness. Oh no, sorry, the sweetness of the pie itself. So some people like to go with the Granny Smith apples, and I think that that might be something that you use in a pie just because it kind of is a nice juxtaposition of flavors. But we're trying to create a nice juxtaposition of colors today. So we have our maybe one hanging from this branch. I don't know. I'm just trying to kind of randomly place these throughout. I know we always have some low hanging fruit, right? Not everybody can be at the top of the tree, so we'll try to incorporate that idea into this picture here. But I don't think we'd need too many more because I don't want it to be too saturated. I want to make sure that we have some nice negative space with the green. But if we zoom out, that looks pretty natural. Maybe just one or two more up here, and then obviously you can imagine that throughout the tree there will be some more apples. So perhaps we might have some lying down on the shoreline here, because the apple does not fall far from the tree, or so I've heard. And I think that is enough for the tree for right now. So what I want to add to the house over here, because we can see that it is very one color, and I want to keep true to the design that MrPositive has chosen, but perhaps go with a somewhat more detailed or just a little more extra color in here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add in a window here. So we'll try and get the window shape. We can follow this line down here because we've already got the perspective from what he's got, and then I'm just gonna try and add a nice little windowsill and bring it down here, and we're gonna continue that. And if you have any suggestions for things that might be something we can add in the picture, please leave those in the chat. I will be looking at that. I do have it open right in front of my face, so if you do say anything in the chat, it will pop up and I will be notified. So what I'm doing is I'm just drawing out the window here, and then we're going to go in and do some extra details. So we're going to continue the line there, and so it may be a little difficult to see what we're doing right now, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to set oh, sorry, I didn't realize that that was what happened. We're going to add this color to our palette, and we're also going to add this other color to our palette. It might just be the base color that he's got there, but I wanted to make sure that we have the same colors going on. So we're going to set our color 2 as this lighter brown, so that when we go in with the very small eraser, we can actually get the look that we're going for. So we're just going to kind of etch away at these lines to make them more along the lines of what we're going for, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to erase some of this up here and erase this. Now here is the confusing part, because we're a little saturated with lines in terms of what is the windowsill. So I'm just kind of tapping the pen here. I know Andrew actually uses his mouse, which is very impressive, but I like to get the full potential of my assets available. So I have the drawing tablet, and I'm going to use it. So we're going to continue that line. Now, one thing that this erasing technique does is it gets rid of this blurriness, which kind of takes away from the effect of the whole picture itself. So we'll try to add some of that back in if possible, but what we're going for is this blank window. Now, this blank window isn't going to be, it's not going to be this brown color. We can actually take this color and color this in our darker color, and we want to get some differentiation on the actual windowsill. So what we're going to do is we're going to get a darker version of this to be the bottom here, and then a lighter version to be the front of the window. Actually, I might get a different type of brown just to kind of change this up a little bit. So if we get a more red brown, we can add that in, and we'll go with that color for there. So now we want to imagine that we're kind of getting a look inside of the building itself. So we have to think about what might be inside the building, but we don't need to be very specific, because you remember that we're quite zoomed in right now. We're about 400% of the original picture size. So I want to make sure that we are keeping that in mind, because people are going to be seeing this from out here, or perhaps even in the thumbnail, which could be very small. So we need to keep that in mind in terms of how detailed things are. We need things that pop out from a distance. So I'm just kind of coloring these negative spaces in, and we have our windowsill here. So what I'm going to do from here is we're just going to draw our pie. So I'm thinking kind of a, Well, okay, we want to think of what the background color is. So maybe our background color is a different color of brown. Let's try and get something else from the picture itself. So maybe something from the tree over here. So if we grab this color and we add this to our palette, okay, then we can go back over here and we can color that in there. So we can see that now it kind of looks like the inside. Um, so I'm trying to think of other things that might be on the inside of this building. Perhaps a fireplace of sorts. So if we get a maybe our apple red, we could kind of get a brick looking structure on the inside, because this is in the background, so we want to get this in first so that we can draw our pie in front of it. So if we kind of get this looking like that, then sorry, I don't think I need to do that. I can actually just color that in, and then we'll go in and fix this pixelation with our paintbrush. So we'll get that, and maybe we can get some, if we drop this down, we can actually get a grayer version of our red. And what that means is we can kind of get the shape of the actual grout in the fireplace. So if we drop this to as thin as possible and zoom in as far as we can, then we can actually draw in the lines of the bricks. And with that, we're going to add a little bit more detail afterwards, but we can just draw some random lines. Now, obviously with bricklaying, it isn't usually random, but like I said, this is going to be viewed from pretty far out, so we don't need to do too much detail in terms of what we are expecting the viewer to see. We just need to get the point across. So that's what we're doing right now. Just checking to make sure that everything is going fine. I know in the past it has caused problems. So finally, we're just going to add our little pie pan down here on the windowsill. So I actually like the color we were just using. Is that the color we were just using? Was our, let me grab this. Yeah, so that's the color we were using. So I'm going to continue this color as our pie pin. Actually, no, that's not standing out unless it's on the red. So we're going to use our metal colors here. And we're going to get our nice pie pan. We'll color this in. And then we'll go back to our paintbrush. I'm going to actually up the size back up to what we were using to kind of just get that full blur effect. And then we'll downsize and we'll get the tan, and we're just going to get a nice little crust on the side here. And so what I would imagine if there's a pie sitting in the window is that we're going to get some flow, perhaps some heat and some scent coming from here. So we're going to go with our grayer red, and we're just going to kind of have this flowing into the breeze out into the day. And with that, I think we have the idea we're looking for, but now we actually have a chimney coming up on the far end of this. So I think that we'll add that in up here at the top. So if we go grab our red, we can actually color this in from the top. I'm going to get a bigger brush for this one, so we can actually get the effect we're looking for. And here we go. And so I think that's the idea we're looking at. And we'll also have some smoke coming out of here. So we're gonna get a lighter gray to be our smoke from the smokestack. I see we have someone in the comments. Hello to you, Soki. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my red, and I'm going to color this in. And now you may think, Jono, what are you doing? That takes away the dimensionality of it. But we're going to go and fix that in a second. So I'm going to color this in just like this. And we'll go grab our gray red, and on our small paintbrush, we're going to go draw the lines in here. So we're going to draw them like that, and then like that. And we're just going to continue this pattern, and I think you can see where I'm getting at. So when I go in and add the lines for the bricks again, we'll be able to get that full dimensionality that we were looking for. But I think that's actually where I'm going to call it. So as I finish this off, if there's any comments you guys have about what we should do with this picture, I'm sure I could pass it on to MrPositive. But in the meantime, I'm just going to finish off this picture. And so it's a little weird to get this perfect angle there, so I'm just going to draw that down. But then all I have to do here is continue this pattern, and so I think that's complete. And then here I just have to continue this pattern. So you can imagine that this is a brick long ways in this direction, and this is a brick long ways in this direction, and we get what we're looking for. And I believe that finishes it off. So I'm actually going to color in a little bit more down here just to kind of get the picture. But if we zoom back out, now you can see that there's some problems with the physics here. Perhaps I can adjust that slightly. So what we can do is we can get the selector tool and just grab that guy like so, and we're gonna move him over here. If I zoom out, that's not perfect. I may fix this off camera because we're getting a little closer on the time, so I'm gonna undo that. So all we have to do is grab that guy, put it there, I believe. If we go down, maybe a little more. Alright, that lines up. So now I just need to fix the rest of the drawing here. So let me grab my medium brush, and we're gonna, for one, I can just color this in white, and then I'll grab my eraser, and because I have it set to the color of the house, we can just color that back in like so, and we are back in business. Now I will need to go trim the area right there, so that's not too big of a deal. I just need to set my eraser to white, and we should be back where we needed. Now, I do hope to keep this somewhat true to reality, so obviously with the chimney, it couldn't have been over there. But it is interesting to see that this is the same color as this, but because there's a white background, it's slightly different than with the brown background. So if we zoom out, now it doesn't look like we've added too much to the picture, but we can get a little bit of detail here and there. So that's pretty much all I'm going to do today, because we're pushing on about 20 minutes. But I open this up to you, MrPositive, to add perhaps more detail to the dock. I was thinking maybe we could have a little fisherman there, or I guess there's a lot of blank space in the background, so if you have something in mind, go for it. But until then, I'm going to be signing off, so I actually have to switch my mouse to do so. But I want to thank you guys for watching, and like I said, if you haven't done so already, please go on to my previous video of the stock market update and vote in the top right corner. You can actually click on the top right corner of this video to get to that video. But also keep your eyes out on MrPositive's channel for his addition to this exact picture. He's going to be taking the picture I have added onto right here and adding something else onto it. But until next time, I believe I'll be streaming on Saturday. But other than that, I am going to be signing off. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.